Dave here at Blue Bears Games here with another edition of $20 Magic Budget Decks. Today's episode, it's all an illusion. As you can see, it's monocolor blue illusions. I got the idea for this deck because I had a whole bunch of illusions lying around. They all look pretty good except for that one little nasty ability that kind of is a disadvantage. So let's go ahead and go over the illusion tribal deck. So I am Blue Bear. This deck has a blue bear. That was actually the whole reason I wanted to make the deck. But, you know, look at the card, though. It's a 1 to cast 2/2. When I said there is a disadvantage for illusions, not all of them. Not all of them have it, but a lot of them do. It's whenever they're targeted by anything, you have to sacrifice it. Still, first turn, 1 to cast 2/2. I had to make a deck based on it. I went ahead and put a play set of those in there because, well, why not? Like I said, not all illusions have that disadvantage, though. This one is actually a nicer one. It's a 1 to cast 1/1 flyer. So, for those of us that are, really, happy with Flying Men having an upgrade, this one is the biggest of them all. Sure, the ability on it is more of a mid to late game kind of an ability, but it's still a 1 to cast 1/1 flyer. So, its ability is it's +4/+4 as long as an opponent has 10 or more cards in his or her graveyard. No, this deck does not have a way to do that. Yes, I will try to make another version that has that, but for now we're going to just use it as a 1-drop. Aether Figment. This was the other card that I looked at when I was looking at the illusions going, yeah, I got to put that in there. It's 2 to cast 1/1 with a kicker. So, it's unblockable. So it's a 1 to cast or a 2 to cast 1/1 unblockable. Or you can kick it, and if it was kicked, it actually ends up being a 3/3 unblockable. It doesn't have the drawback that a lot of the other illusions have, so it can still just be a 3/3 unblockable. Illusionary Servant. It's a 3 to cast 3/4 flyer, but it has that disadvantage. I will show you how I've taken care of that in a minute. But it's still a cheap 3 to cast 3/4 flyer. You drop this on third turn, most people can't do anything about a 3/4 flyer. So I put a play set of those in there. Phantom Warrior, 3 to cast 2/2, just unblockable illusion. It's in tribe, it's unblockable, it's okay at 2/2, why not? 2 of those go in there. Phantom Beast, another one of those illusions that has a disadvantage, but it's still a 4 to cast 4/5. Like I said, they're very undercosted on their power and toughness. It's just that stupid ability. Here's what I figured on this one. Most of the time, if your opponent's targeting your creatures anyway, it's because they're going to kill them with some kind of removal. So I didn't see the disadvantage of using them that much. The other part to it is that if they get targeted, they sacrifice themselves. So if they're going to exile them, they don't get to exile them because they get sacrificed instead. So I went with a play set of those. Phantom Dragon, 4 to cast 5/5 flyer. Enough said. Alright, so those are the creatures. Blue doesn't have removal. Blue's removal is kind of weak, so I had to go the white weenie route of using enchantment auras to go ahead and get them out of the way. So we'll start with Singing Bell Strike. It's 2 to cast, so it's almost like a pacifism. When it enters the battlefield, you tap the creature, and it doesn't untap unless they pay 6. So, I mean, that's pretty steep, is 6. So I kind of went with that as my pacifism effect. One of the play set of those. Claustrophobia is actually one of the originals of this style of card. 3 to cast, tap the creature, it doesn't untap. It locks down your opponent's creatures, and that's kind of where I'm trying to be. So instead of them not being able to block or attack, they just don't untap. That is actually more beneficial than a pacifism style of card, because when they're just sitting there doing nothing, if they have an ability, they can use the ability. On this one, they can't do anything except for sit there tapped. So play set of those. Malfunction is just a 4 to cast version of the Claustrophobia. They didn't make a whole lot of 3 to cast versions of this card, so I went ahead and found what I could. This actually has the benefit, though, of it's a permanent instead of just like a creature. So it's artifacts or creatures. So that's the advantage to that. So there's 4 of them in there. That's the control aspect. Now, we're in blue. Obviously, we want to draw some cards, so go ahead and I went ahead and put a place of divination in, just because, draws 2 cards. The rares. The first one is an illusion called Jace's Mindseeker. It's a little on the expensive side at 6 to cast, but when it enters the battlefield, target opponent puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, and then you can cast an instant or sorcery from among them for free. Think about that for a minute. So what happens if you happen to turn over, say, an Ingarrick's Wake? You basically can destroy their whole side of the board for free. So, went with that. Now, I said earlier, I have a way to deal with the whole if they're targeted, they sacrifice thing. Lord of the Undead is the Lord for illusions. He himself is not an illusion, which is kind of unusual, but we'll go with it. He's a 2 to cast 2/2. All your illusions get +1/+1. That's a big bonus for some of these guys because you can't buff them in any way, shape, or form. But then the next ability makes it even better. You turn him all hexproof. Now, he himself doesn't gain a hexproof, and I believe that's the reason why they didn't make him an illusion himself. However, when they have hexproof, they basically become like a Voltron. They can't be seen by your opponent, and they can't be blocked, or they can be blocked, but they can't be targeted. So that kind of resolves that whole. They sacrifice themselves. However, the other thing is, there are 3 creatures in here that can turn unblockable or are unblockable. So then essentially you've got things your opponent can't deal with and things that are unblockable. So basically they just hit to the dome. I went with 2 of those because they are not illusions themselves. They are susceptible to being removed because your opponent's not going to be able to remove other things at some point. So I put 2 of them in there. I usually don't do that because I want to be able to make the deck again to sell, but it needed it for the purposes of what we have going. All right, and the special edition card is a foil Dictated Crucifix. It has flash at the beginning of each player's upkeep. That player draws an additional card. It's blue. We needed some more cards, so I went and threw that in there. All right. Again, we are a monocolor deck, so it's mostly islands. However, the special cards are Remote Isle for the cycling aspect. I went ahead and wanted to make it so that when later in the game, if you draw it, you can just cycle it out so you can get a better draw. And the Faux Fetch. Again, I put Faux Fetches in every deck because it helps take land out while you're playing. So, and there you have, it's all an illusion.